Hello and welcome back to another Warcraft video. So today I'm going to be talking about Mythic gear and the fact that it's going to be dropping from Garrisons. Well, not just Mythic gear, in fact, basically all levels of raid gear will be obtainable via Garrisons, though there's a bit of a caveat that you do actually need to do a little bit of raiding first. It's a bit of a strange system and I have seen lots of feedback on the forums. None of it's particularly positive, but I have seen feedback. Yeah, I think this is a pretty dumb system, bar one thing. So essentially, the way this is going to work is that once you're level 100 and you're doing your garrison missions, you'll have a chance to be able to upgrade your followers' gear. By the way, your followers have got gear. Now, when your followers reach higher levels of gear, it's going to unlock harder missions that you can do. And when your followers finally reach item level 640, you'll be able to do these special and very rare missions, which will reward you with a piece of raid gear. Now this raid gear depends on the level of raiding that you currently do. If you currently raid LFRs, it will give you a bit of normal gear. If you currently raid normals, it will give you a bit of heroic gear. And if you currently raid heroics, which is probably what I will be doing, it will give you a bit of mythic gear. And if you raid mythics, it'll give you a bit of mythic gear plus 1,000 gold. I think this is a really, really dumb system. Okay, I'll talk about the good bit first, right? So if you are an LFR player, you know, often I hear a lot of people saying, yeah, look, maybe I want to do flexes or move up to another level of raiding, like a more organized level, but I can't because I just can't get the gear, and maybe I can't find a guild or something like that. Well, by just giving a little bit of normal gear, let's just say once every 2 to 3 weeks, and maybe even more, I think that's okay. It's kind of giving those players who want to do that a bit of a kick in the right direction. It's kind of helping them out a little bit. I think that's fine, really, because ultimately what I want is for more people to get into raiding without Blizzard sort of paring down what raiding is. And I think that's what that system would do. But the problem is, if that person is now raiding normals, well, they will have a chance of getting heroic level gear. Now that's getting gear that's supposed to come from content that is harder than what you currently do, yet you're getting it from a garrison mission which, honestly, has no skill. I mean, sure, there's the sunk cost in terms of your time, and the fact you need to level up all your followers and give them gear and things like that, but the actual act of getting that bit of heroic gear doesn't take much skill. I suppose the one sort of devil's advocate point that you could say for this is that those people on the normal raids are going to be dealing with the same mechanics as those doing the heroic raids, with the only difference being that normal is about 20% easier. Where I think I have the biggest problem is people doing heroics will be able to get mythic level gear. Now that would be me. I don't think I will deserve mythic gear for doing heroics. And the reason why is because mythic gear A is supposed to be the ultra special top-end unique thing. It's even got its own unique art. So that's, because of that, I think it sort of erodes at how special this gear is if I am able to get it by doing heroics, which are easier. Another point which is extremely important is that mythic boss fights have got more mechanics. You need to deal with a hell of a lot more on a mythic than you do on a heroic. Therefore, I think that, you're getting that special gear because you're dealing with these special, even harder mechanics. Whereas on heroic, I would be getting that special gear without having to deal with the harder difficulty and the unique and challenging mechanics of mythic. So I think that kind of messes up the reward scheme a little bit, and it also has this problem where it means that if you are a pretty hardcore raider or maybe just a regular, when I say casual, I don't mean it in a bad light. I mean someone who doesn't have time to raid 3 times a week, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're any of those people, what you're going to want to do is build a garrison on your main that is fixated towards getting this high-end raid gear. How do you do that? Well, you get a salvage yard because I think it's got a chance of giving you armor for your followers. Then you want a barracks because that's good for your followers. And then you want to log in every single day, multiple times, to send all of your followers off on as many missions as you can, so you can get this gear. They have, in a way, made it kind of mandatory if you want to do that high-end content. Because ultimately, how are you going to justify to your raid leader saying, oh, well, I mean, I could have done the work to get that extra gear, but I just couldn't be bothered. No, you know, ultimately it's kind of like your personal responsibility in a raid team is to bring as much to the raid team as you can. At least that's how I view it. So by putting this system in, they kind of make it semi a thing that you need to do, which is a bit sucky in my opinion. So yeah, basically I think that if normal level raiders can get heroic gear from this garrison mission, I think that's sort of bullshit, but I can maybe tolerate it because at least those normal people are dealing with the same mechanics as the heroic people. But what I cannot tolerate is the people who are doing heroics like myself being able to get mythic gear, which quite frankly, we do not deserve. That's bullshit. It's messing up the reward schemes. So here's my proposed system. Basically, it works just as it does now, but it caps off at normal gear. So if you are not doing any raiding at all, you're not doing any LFRs, and you do these missions, you have a chance of getting LFR gear or something like that. If you're doing LFRs, then these missions have a chance of giving you normal gear. If you're doing normals, then these missions will give you normal gear, and that'll be it. If you're doing heroic, then the missions, I'd say, still give you normal gear, but also give you a chunk of money. And if you're doing mythics, just, okay, that bit of normal gear won't matter, but maybe it could be disenchanted by the mythic raider to get some sort of valuable item, but more importantly, they would get a big chunk of change. That way, there's still a reward for all players that scales in terms of how hard your content is, but it doesn't break up the sort of gear reward structure of things. So that's what I would say. And now, it doesn't necessarily need to be gold. You can replace gold with any cool item that people would want that doesn't really affect player power in a ginormous direct way. Okay, so that's been talked about. Now, Watcher, aka Ian Asakostas, also did pop up onto the forums. And yeah, he basically said that this is not going to affect the main hardcore raiding scene too much because it's going to take multiple weeks for all this stuff to be unlocked and to kick in. Obviously, it will take you time to level all your followers up. It's going to take you time to gear them up. So by the time that all that's done, well, the first maybe week or two of serious raiding will be done with. That means that it hopefully shouldn't impede that too much. That's definitely good. I think the system would be utterly unacceptable if it would impact the kind of more competitive side of raiding, but it won't. And I do believe that it won't, so at least that's one thing that's okay. I'll put his post up on the screen so you can read that. But overall, I just think, bit of a strange system. I'd be okay if it was just helping people get up from LFR, but I think going too much further beyond that is a bit of a silly thing. Now, there is one point that I wanted to make. Basically, if you were to take the average increase in item level that a player got per week in Pandaria, taking into account that Pandaria had both Warforged, the sort of bonus roll system that hasn't been revamped, and then item upgrades, and you were to compare that to Warlords of Draenor, which has got better bonus rolls, but then also the chance of getting this new shiny gear in Garrisons, I wonder what would be better. You know, it could be that because of item upgrades and things like that being removed and this being added, that it would sort of balance out. Hard to know though, that's just a random bit of conjecture, speculation stuff. But yeah, fundamentally, I'm not too cool in this system. What I'd like to know from you guys is, what do you think of this system? I can imagine the comments in this video are going to be full of salt, claws, and the gnashing of teeth, which will be fun. But anyway, that's it for me. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.